Welcome to CYC News for today, the 20th of October 2013 and the 10th of Barber 17:30am. I'm Christina Maurice.
And I'm Joseph Farmy. In today's headlines, the Egyptian Centre for Development and Human Rights considers legal action against the Ministry of Antiquities for cutting the third generation of Mary's tree. Hundreds march for Mursi across Egypt, while several policemen are killed in Sinai. The Palestinian president meets His Holiness Pope Francis. San Francisco rail workers strike after talks of a breakdown. And Saudi Arabia turns down the UN Security Council seat.
Starting in Egypt, the Egyptian Centre for Development and Human Rights, or ECDHR, is based near the Mary's Tree site, and they confirmed that the third generation of Mary's Tree was cut a few days ago with an electric saw. The centre director said he would take legal steps against the Ministry of Antiquities in the next few days, as it did not deal with Mary's Tree as an important Egyptian monument. Several branches of the tree were cut a few days ago with an electric saw and thrown to the ground. The Ministry of Antiquities said this was done to protect the tree from falling after groundwater leaked into the site. Mary's Tree is an ancient tree dating back to the 1st century AD. It is believed that under the shadow of this tree, the Holy Family rested during the journey to Egypt. The tree has been in its place for 2,000 years. The original tree grew old and fell in 1656 AD, so some Franciscan priests took a branch of the tree and planted it in the Holy Family Church, which is adjacent to the old tree. The new transplant grew old and branched. Recently, another branch has been planted near the original tree and is now filled with sycamore leaves and fruit.
Thousands of supporters of Egypt's deposed President Mohamed Mursi protested in Cairo on Friday, shouting slogans against Army Chief General Abdullah Fattah el-Sisi, who removed him on July the 3rd. Out of the few thousand protesters, one was injured by gunfire when taking part in a pro-Mursi march in Fayoum, south of Cairo. The state TV reported that another 4 were injured in clashes between pro-Mursi supporters and residents of the Nile Delta city of Zagazig. Hundreds of pro-Mursi Islamists took to the streets in the coastal city of Alexandria and in Bahouria province, witnesses and security sources said. Interior Minister Mohammed Ibrahim, who survived an assassination attempt in September, ordered police to confront decisively any attempt to break the law.
His Holiness Pope Francis received Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas and an accompanying delegation on Thursday morning. The Palestinian president also met with Monsieur Dominique Mamberti, Secretary for Relations with States, and expressed concern over the exodus of Christians from the Holy Land. Further concerns were raised about the expansion and annexation wall that separates Jerusalem from Bethlehem, which the president said must be removed. According to Vatican Radio, His Holiness Pope Francis discussed with the Palestinian president the current situation in the Middle East and the recommencement of peace talks between the Israelis and Palestinians. The parties expressed their hope that this process may bear fruit in order to find a just and lasting solution to the conflict, which has become an urgent objective. The parties voiced their confidence to resume courageous and determined efforts to promote peace with the support of the international community. They expressed deep concern about the current situation in Syria and wished that dialogue and reconciliation would overcome the violence.
The two parties also expressed great satisfaction with the progress that has been made to reach a comprehensive agreement with respect to some of the essential aspects to life and activity of the Catholic Church in Palestine. In his meeting with the Vatican Secretary for Relations and with States Archbishop Dominique Mamberti, the Palestinian president spoke about the current political situation in Palestine and the peace process, highlighting the difficulties faced by the negotiations and the Palestinian vision of the city of Eastern Jerusalem. The president called on the Holy See to intervene and work in order to, quote, stop the policy of Judaization of Eastern Jerusalem, withdrawing identities and reunification and granting visas to monks. For his part, Monsignor Dominique Mamberti, Vatican Secretary for Relations with States, said that the Palestinian issue is the key to the solution in the region. He further added, the Holy See works and prays for the peace of justice.
Commuters in the San Francisco Bay Area awoke to a difficult commute on Friday. Workers at the Bay Area Rapid Transit System went out on a strike, shutting down a commuter rail system that carries 400,000 people a day. Authorities will run free charter buses and expand the ferry services, but they revealed those services were capable of transporting just 6,000 people. making it likely that many residents would opt to drive, which would further block already congested roads.
BART chartered 140 buses to provide free services for commuters at 9 stations early on Friday, but a spokeswoman did not have a count of how many actually showed up. "We are doing the best we can to serve these commuters who have absolutely no other way to get into San Francisco," said BART spokeswoman Luna Salaver. She further added, "We regret that this work stoppage affects not only our customers but the rest of the region as well." BART management and employee unions have been quarrelling for months over pay and benefits for more than 2,000 train drivers and union workers. They are demanding larger pay rises, in effect to offset being asked to contribute for their pensions and other benefits.
At least 6 people have been killed and 2 injured in a gas explosion on the central Mexican state of Puebla. Officials state it's not yet clear what caused the blast, as the facility is a natural gas storage plant located at the Chachapa Industrial Park. The explosion set off a fire which engulfed much of the area. The main highway linking Mexico City and Veracruz was closed for more than 4 hours as firefighters brought the blaze under control. Business and homes were evacuated in a radius of 3 kilometres. The blast occurred at 6:30 p.m. local time. Local officials said most of the workers had already finished their shift, keeping the numbers of casualties relatively low. 4 of the bodies were found soon after the blast. 2 other burnt bodies were found later in the plant's rubble. The victims have not yet been identified. Governor Rafael Moreno Valle has visited the site. Some 100 people who spent the night in hostels and improvised shelters have now been allowed to return home.
Saudi Arabia has turned down a non-permanent seat on the United Nations Security Council, accusing the world body of double standards. The Saudi Foreign Ministry said the UN needs to be reformed first. It argued the Security Council had failed in its duties towards Syria and multiple other world conflicts. Saudi Arabia has previously expressed its frustration as what it sees as an international failure to act on Syria. Instead, the rebels are being loyally supported. There has been no official reaction from the UN, but diplomats there expressed their surprise at Riyadh's announcement. Russia's foreign ministry called the move bewildering and said Saudi Arabia's criticism of the UN Security Council over its actions over Syria is particularly strange.
Canada and the European Union have struck a free trade agreement aimed at boosting growth and employment. The deal will lower tariffs, streamline regulation, and cut red tape. Canadian Prime Minister Stephen Harper and European Commission President José Manuel Barroso agreed on the deal at a meeting in Brussels on Friday. Mr. Barroso said they had reached a breakthrough in negotiations to achieve a great agreement for both the European Union and Canada.
The deal still requires approval by parliamentarians and EU member states. Once approved, the agreement aims to make it easier for the 28-member EU bloc and Canadian companies to invest and sell to each other. The European Union is Canada's second largest trading partner behind the US. Mr. Harper said the agreement was the biggest trade deal his country has ever made. It will give Canada access to a market of some 500 million people in the EU, making it bigger even than the country's North American Free Trade Agreement, which is signed with the US and Mexico. The European Commission expects the deal to increase bilateral trade in goods and services by a fifth, to 25.7 billion euros a year.
Google shares have topped $1,000 for the first time after the company reported better than expected earnings. The company posted a 36% jump in net profits to $2.97 billion for the July to September period. Shares in the giant online search and ads company rose more than 13% to $1,006 and are now up to 41% since the start of 2013. Google's revenues also beat forecasts with a 12% rise year on year. Google's chief Larry Page said in a conference call with analysts, "We are closing in on our goal of a beautiful, simple and intuitive experience, regardless of your device." The strong earnings report also helped other online companies, with Facebook shares adding 4.4%, making a new high of more than $55, and Amazon rose 3.4%.
At $1,000 a share, Google's market value is about $334 billion, which is still well below Apple's $461 billion. Google was floated in August 2004 at $85 a share, giving the company a market value at the time of $23 billion.
New research has shown the brain uses sleep to wash away the waste toxins built up during a hard day's thinking. The US team believe that the waste removal system is one of the fundamental reasons for sleep. Their study in the journal Science showed brain cells shrink during sleep to open up the gaps between neurons and allow fluid to wash the brain clean. They also suggest that failing to clear away some toxic proteins may play a role in brain disorders. It is shown to have a big role in the fixing of memories in the brain and learning. A team at the University of Rochester Medical Center believe that housework may be one of the primary facilitators for sleep. Researcher Dr. Macon Nedegard said the brain only has limited energy at its disposal, and it appears that it must choose between two different functional states, awake and aware, or asleep and cleaning up.
Pollutants in the air we breathe have been classed as a leading environmental cause of cancer by the World Health Organization, the WHO. It stated the evidence provided was clear that pollutants directly cause lung cancer. Sources of the pollution include car exhaust, power stations and emissions from agriculture and industry, as well as heating in people's homes. The WHO said the classification should act as a strong message to governments to take action.
The International Agency for Research on Cancer, a part of the WHO, has now classed air pollution in the same category as tobacco smoke, UV radiation and plutonium. It said air pollution had been known to cause heart and lung diseases, but evidence had now emerged that it was also causing cancer. The International Agency for Research on Cancer said the most recent data suggested 223,000 deaths from lung cancer around the world were caused by air pollution.
More than half of the deaths were thought to be in China and other East Asian countries. Rapid industrialisation has led to smoggy skies in cities such as Beijing. However, it's a global problem, and concerns about air pollution were raised again in Europe this week. Data suggests that there may be a link with bladder cancer. Dr. Kurt Strafe from the International Agency of Research on Cancer stated the air we breathe has become polluted with a mixture of cancer-causing substances.
And that's all for CYC News today. Stay tuned for more Christian content on CYC. I'm Christina Maurice.
And I'm Joseph Farmy. From the CYC studios in Sydney, Australia, good night and God bless.